So there's no unboxing. I'm actually doing this as part of my taillight mod. One of the reasons I got the L model was because it's a dual sport, which means you're not going to just be dirt biking, you're going to be out on the road. You're hopefully going to take some trips like the Colorado Backcountry Discovery Route or Utah or whichever state. So at some point you're probably going to need to put some luggage on this bike, and there's a lot of luggage rack options out there. Flatline makes one. There's a whole bunch. The one I went with is from Skaggs Manufacturing, and this is basically it right here. All the other manufacturers require you to use the bolts in the back part of your seat. And let me see if I can explain that really quick. I think you get it. What they do is they hook up here. This is the bolt that holds your seat in place. And then they're going to use these bolts, usually from underneath, and they'll wrap around. So what that gives you is something that, you don't have to drill holes into your bike or anything like that. And they're super strong, obviously. And it's a great option, but what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to have to, every time I took my seat off, worry about this thing coming apart too, especially if you actually had something on it of any weight. That means you would have to pull your seat bolts out, right? With this staying in place. What the Skaggs does, and this is going to scare some people, is it's really kind of genius how they did this. Number one, they're going to make you drill holes, and we're going to get to all this. I just want to tell you why I'm going this way. They're going to make you drill holes into your fender cover, right? This goes up here, and unlike a traditional dirt bike, right, there's actually an inner fender on this. This isn't the only piece of plastic. So they're going to make you drill 4 holes on this and mount it through those holes into the rack underneath it. And how they come up with this, and it's pretty friggin' genius if you ask me, is they use the stock, right, they're going to use these 2 stock ones for the back. I forget which way this goes, like so. And then yeah, nice save. And then they made this cool little piece, and this actually goes in here, and we'll get to how all that goes on. And then that attaches kind of like that, or like that, or however it goes on. But then you're going to drill holes through the top of your fender cover. And you're going to drill holes through the top of your fender cover to get to these holes. So that there's nothing that you have to remove in order to get your seat off. And I thought that was really cool. This is like full strength all the way back here, so you can actually load a lot of weight on that, unless of course you cut it off. That's why the L model's frame is different from the X and the R, is so that you can use it as a dual sport and maybe even as a super lightweight adventure bike, which is of course what I'm aiming for. I want to be able to strip it down and have a dirt bike, but I also want it to have the ability to bolt things to it, panniers and whatnot, and then go adventure riding. It's kind of like the reason I have my Tacoma, right? I take the tent off, I take everything off of it, and it's a pickup truck, and I can drive it to work every day. But when it's time to go camping, I throw the rooftop tent on and this, that, and the other thing, and outfit it, and all of a sudden I've got a pretty solid overlanding vehicle. I want the same thing out of this one. I want it to be able to be a dirt bike, and I also want it to be an adventure rig. So I went with the Skaggs Honda Adventure Billet rack. Skaggs Billet Adventure rack. Skaggs Billet Adventure rack. That's rack. Skaggs Billet Adventure rack. That's a friggin' mouthful. All right, so we're going to take the seat off so that we can get all the good bits underneath here. Phillips head. A little hook goes in there. Killing me, John. You're killing me. Alright, so we've got the bolts out. So that's hanging loose. This puppy drops in here. Slides front. So the little holes line up right here. A little Permatex Loctite. I mean, technically it's Permatex thread locker, right? Because Loctite is a brand name. So for the next part, we're going to put this on in place. You have to bolt everything up. It's got to be close to where it's going to sit. Right? So those holes are nice and lined up. So it's going to go right there. Now the trick is to project the holes underneath up through without moving this thing. That is the trick. So at least get two of the holes. There's nothing but money on them. We're going to put these two bolts back in. So we've got those two bolts to locate it. See, the holes are still open for the big ones. That's locked in about where it's going to go. Okay. We're going to take the drill. Yeah, we're going to put this down. Oop. About as even as I can. So that gives us these two holes. Right? Alright, next we're going to grab our step bit. This is a 3/4 inch step bit. And we're just going to open these holes up, going as nice and straight as you can. If I screw it up, I mean, right, how much can this cost? You buy a whole set of plastics for $120, $150. So if I just had to replace one fender, how bad could it possibly be? Don't answer that question. What's the worst that could happen? I don't know if you know this or not, but the bike sitting out there's got less than 200 miles on it. Poking holes in the damn thing already. Alright, there we go. There's our 4 perfectly placed holes. And then these little standoffs go through here. And then this sits on top of the standoffs, etc., etc. Okay? So that's what we're going to do next. So that's going to go on. These 4 are going to go through. Real quick word, super important. Super, super important. Let's hope. Can you see this? Where's my camera? Right, they're different sizes. One is taller than the other. Right, they're in pairs. So there's a short pair and there's a tall pair. See the difference? Right, the shorter ones go in the back because if you think about it, this goes up at an angle. So to level it out, the short ones go in the back. So we're going to find the 2 short ones, pop those through. Oop. Okay. There you go. 2 long ones. Pop those guys through. Now this little hook, remember the hook? Right, hook's in here. It gets hooked. These guys get spread out. Those get lined up, and then if you're lucky, all these holes are perfect. If you're like me, they're not going to be perfect. There's no way they could be. You can line all those up. Drop this on here, see if we can't get at least a thread started. I've got a feeling this is going to be a kind of a fight gone bad to get everything to line up just right. I can feel it. Oh, it's like right there. Like it wants to line up. How do we get this one started? Did you ever see that meme? Cross-threading is stronger than Loctite. Convince me otherwise. So there you go. So it's on. It's quick. I'll show you the finished product in a second.